Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Matt, and today I want to talk about getting rid of distractions when you're learning a language. And I think this could be pretty big, just to try to get rid of some of the things that might be tempting you or might be distracting you in your language learning. And I think that for most people, most of the distractions that you have in your life are avoidable. They're in your control. So I think that's very important to kind of give yourself that power that a lot of the things that may be distracting you, may be tempting you in terms of other things that you could do with your time, they're in your realm of control. So I think that the first thing that is probably a pretty big distraction for a lot of people is your phone or just other electronic devices. The more that you can get away from your phone or notifications or things like that, the better. Now, I know that a lot of people use their phone or computer to learn a language. I do too, so it can be difficult. But I think there are things that you can do to kind of help to minimize some of the distractions that you might actually have. So particularly with your cell phone, just turn it off or go charge it in another room, right? Try to avoid, getting those texts that may distract or interrupt your language learning, get you out of that flow state. Maybe you get emails on your phone, news notifications, things like that. Try to get that away, right? And the first thing is just to take that phone and then just put it somewhere else, right? So if you're using your laptop, you won't have that distraction, right? If you're using a computer, try to be logged out of social media, be away from your email, just because those small interruptions, I think, can get you out of your flow state a little bit. And not only that, though, when you're kind of more immersed into the language learning process, you're not interrupted every 5 or 10 minutes by a text or a notification or something like that, you're probably going to retain that information a lot better. So any way you can kind of get those kind of interruptions every 5-10 minutes out of the way, the better. And I think that if you can just remove either the electronic component or the cell phone component or whatever, the better. I think another thing that's very helpful is to try to get away from any possible distractions or alternatives that you might have in your language learning. So, for example, if you can study outside and enjoy the nice weather, by all means do that, right? Get away from some of the distractions that may be present in your apartment or in your house. And it might be a nice, great change in pace as well. Going to a coffee shop or going to a park or going to, any place that's maybe outside of where, you normally study or where you live might be very helpful, right? Where you get rid of the potential distractions or other things that you could do, right? So if you're, studying in a coffee shop, for example, it's not as easy to play video games or to watch Netflix series, and you can even take it a step further and just not even bring earphones or headphones with you when you go to the coffee shop or to go study outside, right? Maybe you need those headphones to practice listening, but let's say you're doing something like reading, there's no audio component involved, just get rid of the headphones, right? So you don't have the temptation to just go watch YouTube videos or to listen to some music, right? So I think that anything that you can do to just kind of either get, away from these influences, or just try to minimize their impact on your studying, I think it really does help. It helps, I think, to, like I said, go for further, go for longer, get more immersed into the language learning process, and probably retain some of that information that you're doing in your language learning as well. Another thing too, if you're really having trouble getting started, I don't know if I recommend this method entirely, but if you're really having trouble getting started and just you're just distracted, maybe you're tempted to want to do something else, maybe watch TV or something like that, I think that what can be very helpful is just do some flashcards, do some reading, do some language learning, but listen to some music in the background. I think that in some cases it might be a little bit distracting. Even if, I think in some cases you could maybe even listen to a podcast or something like that. I think it's not necessarily the best because you are a little bit distracted in your language learning, but if it does help you, give it a try, right? If you just honestly have no motivation, you're super distracted, try putting on some music while doing some flashcards or reading, maybe even put a podcast on. I don't know if I entirely recommend it, but it is worth a try. And then I think the last point I would bring up is try to follow that kind of just 2 minute rule that I've talked about in some of my other videos where, if you're just not motivated, you're so tempted to play video games, watch TV, do something else, just kind of commit to doing language learning for 2 minutes, right? Just 2 minutes. Put a timer on your phone for 2 minutes and just do some SRS flashcards or read or listen to something, right? And what you'll find is that, once you just kind of got in the act of doing language learning, you can go even further, right? That 2 minutes pass and you go, okay, I think I can do 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes turns into 15 minutes, and then 30 minutes, and then before you know it, you have done some language learning. So I think a lot of times it's just about starting, right? And a good way to kind of combat that is just commit to doing 2 minutes, right? Or 1 minute, only just 2 minutes of time. And then, in some cases you're going to fail and you're just only going to do the 2 minutes. But in a lot of cases too, you'll keep going and you'll get 15 minutes and 30 minutes in. It's a great way to kind of combat, even if you're just feeling out of it, not motivated, and distracted. And I've talked about this in the past, but I do think it's a great strategy. So that's what I had to say. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.